It's KPN Report, and I'm your host, Maureen Aylward. Our topic is public art in Gloucester. With me here at the table are Mags Harries, an internationally renowned artist who teaches public art at the Museum School of Fine Arts in Boston. She teaches public art, sculpture, and installation. I have here too Ken Hecht, who is a Ward 2 City Councilor in Gloucester, and Karen Ristuben, Program Director of the Creative County Initiative for the Essex County, I did it again, the Essex Community Foundation. Karen, let's start with you, and you can help me. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Karen, you've done a lot of work in public art. You've got this wonderful position now at the ECCF. You are looking county-wide at public art. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there and why public art is important.
Sure. Yeah, as an artist, I have really not done public art. I took Mags's class at the museum school.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't realize there was that connection there.
But no, currently I'm leading this, managing a grant, basically, for the Essex County Community Foundation, which is the first time it has done a program in arts and culture. And it's funded by the Barr Foundation of Boston, and it's a 2-year pilot program. And part of what we decided to focus on for the 34 communities of Essex County is public art and creative placemaking, because we felt that the access to art was lacking, and that the art world has always been something that is deemed to be or viewed to be elitist and something that isn't accessible to all people, all parts of our communities. Mm-hmm. So we really wanted to focus on public art and have art out in the public sphere so that we could engage all of the residents and visitors of Essex County. Mm-hmm. So we have a grant program out now. We have funded 11 projects across the county in public art and placemaking, and they're rolling out now.
So when we're talking about public art, we're not only talking about the, like sculpture, like Mags, what you do, and you also do installation pieces, so temporary pieces, but we're not just talking about large sculptures in terms of public art, what people think about. We're also talking about performance, we're talking about temporary installations. Mags, what else is in that sphere of public art?
Well, there's the idea that public art is just getting a sculpture and putting it out in the public domain. Yeah. That's really not what many artists are interested in. They're really interested in site-specific and really engaging a community. So, the process of coming into a community, or if you're a local, you might know more about the community. But when you start to investigate a community, you really see what people care about. And you observe the site, and you do research, and you do all that stuff, and you engage with the place in a way to develop your proposal. So it's not a signature piece that an artist has in the studio, bringing them into, that's one of it. But, that's a very boring way of thinking about the public domain. It's much more interesting to think about what's specific about the place, how you can engage with it, how the community engages with it, and do something that is only for that community. I think that's the way to go. Mm-hmm. And there's so many great artists who could do that.
Mm-hmm. So what about temporary art, for instance? Like, is that something that you'd like to see here in Gloucester, some kind of temporary installations? And
Temporary installations are great, partly because, you don't have to maintain them. They come in as special events. People come and see them. And basically, people are more forgiving. Sometimes people have concepts about sculpture that are, fixed. And having an artist come in and do temporary pieces, the surprise and engage and, that's...
It's fresh. It's
a fresh way. It's a way of educating people what artists can do, too. Right. And so instead of thinking of a problem place that you want art to spunk up, it's more about okay, what does the artist bring to this place that is creative and unusual and engaging? And it's a way that the public gets on board in terms of thinking about, yeah, that's really great. Did you see that? Fabulous. Go down and see it. You know, in Salem, they did this amazing augmented reality show. Fabulous. And you go there with your iPads and you go into the space and you see a Russian, building. You can go into a Chinese building. You can go and see these amazing augmented reality sea rising. Fabulous. It surprised me as an artist. I've seen a lot, but those are the things that temporary pieces can give you.
It's an experience, right? I mean,
It's
all
an
of art is
experience,
really
yeah.
just changing your perspective and giving you the ability to have a new experience, whether it's looking at visual art, going to see a performance, dance or theater, and all of these
hearing
things.
words in a different way.
A sound installation, even.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's fantastic, the melding of all of these pieces. We're an artists community here in Gloucester. This is what we do. I mean, this is how we identify ourselves, right? So what's happening in Gloucester in terms of public art? And I guess I'll say from some of my travels, and I went to Europe this summer, that there's so much public art in multiple different ways that we were talking about. And even traveling around New England, you see lots of different types of public art, coastal towns mostly. And I keep wondering, I don't feel like we have enough here, or we're a thriving artist community, but what about art in the public sphere? And I guess why don't we see more of it?
We do have our murals that we love, our
Yes.
WPA murals, and those are classic public art that are owned by the city, and other art pieces, some sculpture that are owned by the city. So we do have some, the man at the wheel statue,
Of
we do
course,
have our iconic
Yes,
pieces
we
here.
do.
But we haven't advanced to the place where we have, contemporary, publicly relevant to today public art that is engaging and creates an experience for people who live here now.
Yeah, I think just going by what you were saying, those murals are a legacy that we appreciate now.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem with New England in general is people are looking back into the past and not looking into the future.
What do you mean by that? You mean by like us as a
Thinking
collective
about-
community? We're looking too much to the past?
I think New England looks back into its history, and instead of looking forward into how we can create something that will be relevant in the future. So, I encountered that in Boston. Everything has to be bronze or granite. And yes, there are weather conditions that demand that things have to be a certain material, and that would be another reason to do temporary pieces too. Yeah, but no, my husband and I have done a lot of work in Phoenix, Arizona, and they're a very new town, and they have an incredible public art program there, and really have faith in the artists to come up with amazing things. So instead of asking for proposals, they look at the qualifications of an artist and have them come in.
So it sounds like they already have a master plan
Oh,
for
yes,
public art.
master plan, yeah.
So do we have a master plan in Gloucester? Ken, I know that we haven't engaged you yet. Like in the city of Gloucester, there's no...
I'm not aware of a master plan. We were speaking a few
Yeah.
minutes ago that there's really no master plan. There is a committee for the arts.
Right?
But I really, this whole thing, I approach it from a different thing. I'm the Ward 2 City Councilor, which I'm not here as a city councilor. I'm here as an individual who lives downtown, works downtown, and is really passionate about downtown.
Yeah.
I look at it as more of an economic development tool, which is trying to connect our downtown, connect Middle Street to the water sheet, go from St. Peter's Square to Fitzhenry Lane Park, and look at that as our district, and how do we connect all that with really cool stuff. And the way I see it is we can use art on private buildings and on private property to really develop what we've come to develop a program that we're working on called Inspiration Gloucester, which is not just murals. It's loosely defined as a murals project, but it's really projection technology now. It's sculpture. It's all kinds of very interesting things. I'm learning about it so much. And so I'm really looking to drive a process where we can really analyze and move forward with a lot of opinion, with a lot of public input, but really to get things done within the next year or so. And to begin relatively small, we've inventoried 61 walls that we thought were really quite good.
For the mural project?
For murals, loosely called a murals project. But that could be, the projection technology is amazing today. And so it goes an entire gamut. So it's a clean piece of paper, and it could be all kinds of different types of art. But in a program which I hope we can work toward a crescendo of our 400th anniversary in 2023. So I see it as, take a bite, take a bite, take a bite, oh, wow. And now we've got something. And it really would be about Gloucester, past, present, and future, whatever that means. And I'd like it really to be, we have so many artists, we have something like 2,000 artists. I'd love it to be Gloucester artists, or not people necessarily from Gloucester necessarily, but maybe, people who have done Gloucester art or that are associated with Gloucester. So it's quite exciting. We're at the very beginning. Karen's agreed to join us on our advisory board, which we're really excited about. So we're at the beginning. We're doing a business plan, and it's having a ball with it, but it's really from that economic development point.
So that's a personal passion of yours, that you're just bringing forth these ideas and trying to make it happen. You're making a lot of stuff happen these days.
Right, that's the idea. Get in, get it done.
And so, Karen, you have some experience with, obviously, arts in Gloucester and moving some things forward. Could you talk about your experience with sort of what is Gloucester missing, I guess? I don't really, are we missing something? Are we not moving, is the city itself not moving forward on things, I guess?
Yeah, cities that have a lot of public art have a public art policy and have something like a master plan. So there's a 2001 plan that was developed for the city, which had sort of some visionary stuff in it about the arts and culture sector of Gloucester. And that's something that many of us look back to say, wow, there were good thinkers back then about what could be. And what came out of that was the Committee for the Arts and some other initiatives, but nothing with any real teeth. And there was not a really solid comprehensive public art policy that came out of it. There was, a few years ago, a consultant hired by the Committee for the Arts to come in and develop a public art policy in the wake of an artist who wanted to give a large sculpture to Gloucester and place it in a very public place at Solomon Jacobs Landing. And we didn't have a policy in place as to how to accept that and own it and maintain it and do anything. And
so there's nothing in place up until that time.
There's nothing in place, right?
For how to move a gift like that through the city.
Exactly.
And such a thing doesn't exist now.
Such a thing doesn't exist now. And that's only one scenario where an artist wants to give a gift of a piece of artwork. Right. Another is if there is a group in the city who wants to hire somebody like Mags to deal with a site-specific area of Gloucester to make a piece for it, and there's funding developed for it. That's another scenario. Another scenario is the existing public art that's owned by the city, and right now the Committee for the Arts is in charge of making sure that is well shepherded, and maintained. But there's nothing in place for new art to happen, whether temporary or permanent pieces. And when you have a public art policy in place, there is the provision for a panel to look at proposals or to solicit artwork and to screen and to make sure that it's placed well. The location of public art is critically important. Right. And the deaccessioning of it at the end of its life is important. The maintenance is critically important. All of those things. It's a complicated scenario.
So you mentioned that there was a consultant brought in, and the Committee for the Arts in Gloucester was the organization. Is that the organization that's kind of, or the sector of the city of Gloucester that's in charge of this this piece.
That's the only city entity
It's the only city entity
that's dedicated to the arts.
The Committee for the Arts. And they had a consultant do this, and
Yes,
and there's nothing going on with that
Nothing
right now.
happened with it, yeah.
Nothing happened with that.
Right.
And so it's sort of languishing.
I don't know what happened to the policy itself. If I don't think it was approved by the Committee for the Arts for whatever reason. I don't know the reasons. But many of us were involved in the process with her, with the consultant. You know, she interviewed many people from around town, and it was quite a comprehensive process.
It seems like we really do need that comprehensive policy. We need something in Gloucester. So I wonder why that never went anywhere.
I'm not sure, but it also needs a place to live, which would most likely right now be the Community Development Department, because we don't have a dedicated, cultural office for the city of Gloucester, like many other cities do.
Yeah, and to your point on economic development, that would also sort of merge in that space too.
Community development is the area that I would think would have a committee. I'm not sure if the Committee for the Arts reports to community development. Is that under?
I don't know
Jill's
who they
purview?
report to. I think it's directly to the mayor.
Maybe it is directly to the mayor, right?
But the fundamental thing under this is money. And where does the money come from?
Where does the money come from?
Well, there's about 500 programs in the U.S. which are 1% programs, where if a city is doing a new public building, hospitals, schools, even things like water departments, gas departments, stuff like that, money can be put, 1% of the budget gets put into a public art fund. So, and some cities make it specific to the place. Other cities have a master plan and they say, this area of the city should have a piece. So, that's really important. And one can do all those master plans, but unless there's money, how is it going to happen? So, there are places that have public and private partnerships. And there's many places that one can look at for models. But, money is at the root of this, I think.
Yeah. Ken?
Well, my personal opinion is to create something that is a plan that's very visual, that is well thought out, costed, and really leads whoever you're speaking through an entire process that says, there you go. And then that's how the money would come. This has been my experience.
Can you give me an example? I mean,
yes.
How that would happen? What would that look like?
Well, let's say we started out with Inspiration Gloucester and we said, well, let's start small. Last year Salem did 50 walls. We're not going to do 50 walls. Could we do 6 walls? And I used the term wall loosely, 6 things, whatever that thing might be.
Yeah.
And really to identify who are those owners, what kinds of things might happen, and put a menu together that says, listen, this is what we're trying to do. Very visual. This is Inspiration Gloucester. This is past, present, and future. Here's some ideas about what we're trying to do. The mayor had a great idea with Karen to say, listen, in certain areas there's these walls that are probably newer buildings from urban renewal. Why not put a picture up there when we have the technology to do it of an old building that was there?
But building size photos.
A building size photo that would be, 30 feet by 20 feet of what used to be here. And people can go, really? That used to be here. But that kind of thing gets the juices flowing. So the way I would raise money, and I've raised quite a bit of money, is to create this plan that's really well thought out, well costed, your expenses, logistics, how it's all going to work, and really create a lot of really great images and almost a flip chart or a computer that says, this is what we're trying to do. Here's some things, what we're trying to do. And really get people quite excited about it so that, there's corporate donors that are already interested, I think, in the city. There's grants, there's private people who would give money. There's wall owners, for example, that would kick in some money if something cost $15,000. I got good news for you. You're only going to kick in $5,000 or $4,000 or $3,000 or whatever the number is. And there's a combination of money that comes from all kinds of different sources. So
I suppose there's lots of different ways you can do it, because that would be what you're saying is here are some ideas that we have. But from Mag's perspective, I guess, as an artist, wouldn't you want, okay, you're going to get this amount of money, come and see our community, and then what do you see here? What do you think is the engagement, or what do you think the public engagement is?
Well,
would you do it from both sides, where you would get a commissioned piece of art to say this is what we want to do here, or this is what we want, and then?
No, I think you bring in the artists and you say, here's an opportunity, are you interested? You pay them money to do a proposal, or you base it on the fact that they, have done very credible pieces before and trust them to do something great. There's many opportunities out there in other places, but so few of them are really engaging for an artist. They're thinking about a bland space, put some art in it. Well, that's not how art should be viewed, You really put art where people are and you have them engage with it. So, you know the city better than I, and, I think it would be fabulous to have sound pieces downtown with poets who were perhaps from this area, and you can get these super fabulous sound things that only engage a small space, and you stand under it and listen. It would be great. It's not invasive. It's engaging. People would start to find these places. I think that's part of the engagement, is not presenting them like that, but seducing them in. And, I got to find that one. And did you hear about this? And that's the excitement. I mean, it happens when people go to movies. Have you seen this movie? Hey, so you go and see the movie. Well, we don't have that thing with art. And the way to have that thing with art is to really sort of dream up ideas of ways of engaging. Yeah.
Karen, I mean, you're an artist and you're doing this great work with the county. You live here. You're one of us. What do you want to see?
Oh, fire on the water. That's what I want to
Really?
see. Oh, God, yeah. We have so much water, and I love the Providence, the water fire project.
That
and Providence,
started from a temporary project.
A temporary project. It was somebody's MFA project or something, and it has become a signature project, an economic development driver for downtown Providence. It transformed the waterways. The waterways were cleaned up. It's this most amazing project. It's wonderful.
It was the mayor who funded it.
The mayor funded it.
The mayor said, this is a good thing.
This is a good thing for the city.
And whatever one thinks of Buddy Cianci, he did have amazing...
a full Rhode Island.
Downtown.
The Prince of Providence.
No, for downtown, he gave great deals for artists to stay in Providence. I mean,
yes, it's true.
So,
it's true.
it was really a commitment by the mayor that made that happen, and that is very important.
Yeah, that's
and
very
they've got
important.
RISD right there.
Yeah. Right.
So it was like,
Rhode
there
Island
you
School
go,
of Design.
smorgasbord.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you want to see fire in the water. Ken, what do you want to see?
I really want to see connectivity and people that come here and then are led other places because they look and go, I heard, what's that?
So similar to what Mags is saying.
What is this? Yeah,
like,
it's engagement. It's having people explore and want to see the next thing, and I've heard about it or I haven't heard about it, or what is that? Let's go see that. That's really cool. And get people to Main Street, get them to Middle Street, and enjoy Rogers, which I think needs to be helped quite a bit.
The quarry dance this year at the Manship estate was fabulous. And
as it always is.
And that is public art.
That is public art.
Yeah, it's art in the public sphere. Yeah.
We have such ideas for that place. Fire and water is one of them.
Yes,
Actually, poems in the trees and ways of people. Yeah. It could be like an incubator of being excited about the possibilities. And if we can get enough people there and they say, why don't we do that downtown, Ken? And then you go, yeah, you know,
Ken's
let's
on
get
it.
the
I'm
money.
a sucker for a project. You get me hooked in, and I can't get it out
Yeah.
of my mind.
The other thing I love to dream about is to keep the connection between the arts and the maritime culture of Gloucester going, which has been here for ages old.
Right, of course.
But it's different now for all of us. It's different, it's a different arts community and it's a different, maritime community.
Indeed.
But it's changing and evolving, and I would love to see more connectivity there too, and some projects coming out of the new normal that we all are experiencing now.
Yeah.
One of my favorite projects.
What do you
is
mean
this-
by the new normal? You mean
well,
climate
the new
change?
Climate change,
Yeah.
and also
The new abnormal.
the new yeah, well, and also just the new industries, the new maritime industries that are
Right,
coming
the
up,
biotech, of course,
and all of that.
GMGI,
Yeah.
downtown.
GMGI is such an opportunity. Like if we think about this of Inspiration Gloucester, whatever this turns out to be, past, present, future, Gloucester has this incredible future that's been lined out if we take advantage of it and incorporate that into our public art.
Yeah.
So, so sometimes public art is scary, I suppose. And Mags, you mentioned this earlier when we were talking, but it can be scary, right? But it takes courage to engage in a future, to look forward, where Gloucester is really anchored in its past in so many ways. And as a people here and as a place, we do need to change that, widen that lens perhaps, or shift it into this new vision moving forward. And public art just seems to be a great way to do it.
Well, oh, sorry.
I just want to say one thing that I learned in your
The Arts and
the
Culture
Arts and
Summit.
Culture
Yeah.
Summit, the summit,
Yeah, yeah.
is that your keynote speaker from England
Mark Davey, yeah.
said, decide what you are. What are you? Who are you? And then exaggerate it, magnify it, just blow it up all out of proportion. That will never leave me. So it's addressing what you're talking about is we don't want to be that guy or this guy or this guy or that. We want to be us. Now, what is that? And then what comes out of that? What comes out of that? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, and I'm thinking about that, exaggerating something. Salt has been a major part of the fishing industry. So you could have a theme of salt one year. And, that talks about the fishing industry, but doesn't look at the nostalgic look at the
Lighthouses.
fishing. And that would really excite artists.
Yeah.
Could you build a piece out of salt? Could you photograph salt? Could you find where the salt migrates from? And I mean, there's so much that you could do that would be part of the research of it. Is what happens to all that salt in the winter? Does it go in the ocean? Is that bad? Is that good? I don't know.
For contemplation.
For
For contemplation and hopeful installation.
Yeah.
Art installation. And with that, we have to end our time on Cape Breton Report. Karen Ristuben, thank you for joining us. Ken Hecht.
Thank you.
Again, Mags Harries, pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure.
Our viewers, connect with us on social media. If you'd like to join the conversation, we really would love to know what you think about public art and what you would like to see. Until the next time on Cape Breton Report, take care.